Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to something a little bit different today. Yes, we're going to be jumping in. I'm going to be making a quick video because I've been getting a lot of questions about it so far, about how on earth I've been able to get my Fanatec CSL wheel working with F1 2010. Now, it was a little bit of a funky setup, so ultimately this video will hopefully help some of you guys out, but I'm also making it for me so that if I ever break anything, hopefully I can come back and try to take a look. So I'm going to run through the in-game wheel settings, and then obviously the Fanatec wheel settings, obviously through Fanalab. Now, this only works on PC. You know, obviously this game was on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but obviously this wheel cannot work on those consoles either. So what you want to do, obviously, first of all, is, you know, in kind of the main menu of the game, head over to the right-hand side. Now, you cannot get your wheel to kind of navigate the menus inside the game either, so you have to have a mouse and keyboard still at the ready. But head obviously over to My F1 on the far right hand side of the game. Obviously click enter into there, and then obviously down into driving controls in just a moment. Now, one other thing, quickly, that you guys have been asking me about as well, is actually the graphics setup inside this game. Obviously, I've got it running at 4K, at 59 FPS, or kind of the maximum refresh rate inside the game. Apparently, if you run it at 60, now there's no way of running it higher than 60. But if you run it at 60, then some of the physics can get even more broken. The game wasn't really designed to handle it. But what I found so far is if I run it at 59, then things are a little bit more normal. Luckily, I've got an RTX 3090, so, you know, over 15-year-old game can be run at completely maxed out on the Ultra Graphics preset as well. But yeah, most importantly though, heading over into driving controls, and then obviously you have to run it custom on your controller profile, so you'll have the option like a keyboard. I've got an Xbox Series X controller plugged in, but it recognizes it as a 360 controller, or obviously, yeah, if you've got a wheel plugged in. Now, most important thing, first of all, if you've got a Fanatec CSL wheel, it has to be in the, I believe it's called the Fanatec CSL V2.5 compatibility mode. So if you look on your wheel, normally it's just on the right-hand side of your base. If you're playing on PC, normally that is red. Press it a couple of times until it is glowing yellow. It will mean that your wheel isn't recognized in theory, in Fanatec software, but it is basically its reverse compatibility setting. It basically tries to turn the wheel into something really, really basic that most kind of games can receive as an input. So that's how you originally get it to kind of be picked up inside the game as well. Heading obviously into edit setup, as you can see, you know, I've kind of set up everything as you would expect so. So to steer left, obviously you turn the steering left. To steer right, you turn the steering right. It's a little bit of a pain to set up first time round, but obviously if you've got everything working, then you can customize it to your heart's content. Obviously brake and throttle pedal, obviously set up. Flappy paddles as well, all working inside the game. Pit limiter, requesting the pit in, obviously car status, replays, changing the camera, everything like that as well. Now, like I said, obviously you can change the quick menu as well using the funky switch on the wheel, but yeah, I've got no way of kind of working out how to do normal menus inside the game, because apparently they don't work like the quick menu does. So yeah, you got to keep a keyboard to one side. The most important thing though, when it comes to setting up your wheel inside the game, is actually the advanced wheel settings. If you take a quick look at the force feedback options, as you can see, I've got them at 10%, 60 and 60. Fairly standard stuff. I think it's basically the default for this game. Feels pretty good. But your advanced wheel settings are the ones that are going to make all the difference. Now, what you'll find, of course, is that the physics engine of F1 2010 isn't perfect anyway. So unlike a modern F1 game where you've got like perfect lineup, with obviously, you know, if you hold it at 90 degrees, it will run perfectly at 90 degrees. The older games, they don't kind of work that smoothly, so it won't be a perfect one-to-one matchup. But yeah, you don't want to run any dead zone whatsoever, although normally you'd think that's what you actually want to run. You actually look into the saturation and the linearity of your steering wheel as well. So yeah, I've got 75% steering saturation, 50% steaming linearity, no throttle dead zone, 50% throttle saturation, no, 20% brake dead zone, and then 80% brake saturation. That is because I have a load cell brake pedal as well. So if you've got one of the more basic Fanatec kind of pedals, you might want to obviously change around the brake and kind of dead zone and saturation. But throttle, that should be exactly the same for everybody. Works pretty well for me, but give it a little bit of a tweak. But yeah, the only way I kind of found to get the wheel not to be incredibly twitchy in a straight line or anything like that is to obviously run 75% saturation and 50% linearity. Let's head though over into Fanlab software, because of course that's kind of where you've really got to cook the finer details. So like I said, because obviously you're running this in the old compatibility mode, when you have a look at your active devices inside Fanlab, it actually won't work in kind of the way you're used to seeing. So for example, my wheelbase and my steering wheel are currently showing up as not available. My pedals do still show up because I've got them directly plugged into my PC. But yeah, if you head into the tuning menu and anything like that, it just will not recognize. The only thing you've got obviously is down at the bottom, it says wheel device detected. Now obviously if you then want to go back to F125 or anything like that, press obviously the mode button a couple more times, you'll lob it back into PC mode, and everything will work as normal again. So you're not like breaking your wheel permanently or anything like that. It is a conscious feature that Fanatec have implemented inside the wheel as well. So yeah, obviously you can see it temporarily kind of fully disconnects, but then it does come back up with obviously wheel device detected once more. So I'm going to have to obviously talk through these on the actual steering wheel itself. So sensitivity, first of all, I've got set to 360 degrees in this mode. Of course, again, just gives you basically the closest I possibly could to a one-on-one lineup with obviously what's going on in game with my steering wheel. Force feedback strength, I've got set to 50%. Ultimately, this game doesn't have a particularly sophisticated force feedback model, so don't bother turning it up really high, don't bother turning it down really low. You're not going to find much difference. The only thing I would say is if you're running really high feedback, it can actually make the car really, really stiff to drive, and then it's more like trying to drive a cruise liner. I know these old cars didn't have as much grip as modern Formula 1 machinery, but they certainly were not that bad. Force feedback scaling then, I've got set to peak. Again, I don't really think it makes much difference with this setup. But the natural damper then I've got at 70% as well. Natural friction on the wheel I've also got set to 70%. And natural inertia I've got completely disabled. So again, a lot of these won't make much of a difference at all. They're just kind of what I've ran on other games and just kind of what I've left them at. The force feedback interpolation I've got set to off as well. Again, that can sometimes cause a little bit of funky business with some of these older games. The force intensity setting, though, I've got at 30. So again, it just kind of gives you a little bit of a finer feel, I found, but works pretty nicely with the game as well. Force efficiency, I've got set to 40%. The spring efficiency, I've got set to 100%. Again, I like to have a wheel that kind of pulls back towards the center, so that's just what I like running. And then the damper efficiency, I've also got set to 100. The brake IND, I can't honestly remember what that is. I've got that set to 95% as well. Vibration, I've got on. MPS, I've got on auto, because I believe that's just some of your switches and stuff that won't work with F1 2010. Brake force, though, of course, that's my pedal. I've got that set to 30%. It's always what I run and what I'm pretty used to as well there. So yeah, hopefully this video has helped you out. Like I said, it's not a perfect kind of fix-all for F1 2010. Obviously, unfortunately, I can't kind of show you these on Fanlab. Although I guess, actually, if I go into kind of the normal PC mode, if I leave it on preset number 2, obviously, it won't show up like this normally. But there you go. There's all my settings as well there. So yeah, your brake level indicator, I honestly don't know what that does, but I've got it set to 95%. Inside the game as well. So yeah, those are obviously my setups inside the game, but like I said, make sure that you've got it into the PC compatibility mode. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Of course, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to get to 1k subs as well. But yeah, we'll be back very soon with more F1 2010 content.